Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I kind of want to go over that book that I shared with you. Um, when I finished reading that first chapter, I was already at like close to 30 minutes long, and I didn't really get to explain why I'm doing it too much. I mean, I did a little bit. I gave you the gist. But I really want to tell you a story about how that book came about and why I haven't been writing since then. Not consistently, anyway. So, leading up to writing that book, I had gotten very into writing goals. At 27, I lost the weight. My goal that year was to go to Wild Waves without my shirt on. Wild Waves is a theme park. That's a water park, theme park, slides and whatnot. And I had never been anywhere in public with my shirt off before. And I reached that goal. I got down to 220 right at the end of the summer and went to Wild Waves with my brother and my sister. And when New Year's came around, and I had to come up with a new goal. I had already accomplished one major goal, and I wanted something new. And so I told myself, I'm thin, I'm looking good. I'm gonna try to find the one this year. I really wanted to get married at some point in my life, and I still do. Um, so I went on tons of first dates. I kind of set up a structure on how it would work. I told myself that if a girl could get past 5 dates, and I set five, but that was a really high number, and I knew that even then. But I was going on a lot of dates with girls, and I was getting a lot of attention. So I didn't want to rush into a relationship with anyone. I wanted to take my time. So I was telling girls, if you can make it to the fifth date, then I will drop the other girls. And a couple of girls stood out that year. The first one was a redhead who was the first one to tell me that she thought I was a dom. I had dom qualities, and I wasn't too into it at that point. She really wanted me to role play rape situations, and I wasn't comfortable with rape situations. Like, once a girl says no, I want to. No means no for me. My mom told me stories about her growing up and her situations with rape, her stories with rape, and so rape was a very sensitive word for me. Um, I learned after the fact, after I let that girl go, that being a dom and BDSM doesn't have to be rape situations, and it took a while, but I did eventually get into light aspects of that. But she was just the first girl. There was a couple of girls that I liked, but at the end of the year, I was dating this girl she was short, but otherwise she was like a Barbie girl, blonde and drinking at clubs and parties and whatnot. She'd come over to my house drunk off her ass, and I was always getting mad at her for drinking and driving. I kept telling her, if you're gonna drink, just let me come get you, and she wouldn't listen to me. And I realized very quickly that she was not the kind of girl that I wanted to take home to mom, and not the kind of girl I would want to marry someday. And I told her that. I was trying to be very nice about it, and I thought she'd get mad, but she didn't. And instead, she just wanted to continue having sex. She was just cool with a casual sexual relationship. And that actually kind of broke my heart. I mean, as much of a compliment as it was that she was into having sex with me, that wasn't what I went into that year wanting. And it was toward the end of the year. It was close to the end of the year, and I had nothing to show for all that money I spent and all those dates I went on. So when the New Year's resolution came around for that year, when I was turning 29, I decided I was going to write a book. And honestly, I didn't think that I was going to finish writing that book. It was a pretty intense goal to think that I could write a novel. I wrote 3 chapters and shared them with my mom, who then shared them with several members of my family. She read the chapters aloud to my dad and my brother and sister, and she shared them with her sisters and her brother on Facebook, and it grew very quickly. By the time I got to the end of the first act, those first 11 chapters, which keep in mind, my chapters are short, and they're short because I was having to put out chapters every week. If I wasn't putting out a new chapter every week, if I wasn't putting it out on Wednesday, they were getting antsy and bugging me over Facebook and bugging me over my phone to write the chapter. So most of my chapters are like 10 to 15 pages long. There were a few that got to about 20 pages long, but all of them are relatively short. So that's why I say the first act is 11 chapters long. It really means it's like 100 and maybe 120 pages long, based on a standard format for a book. So when I got to that 11th chapter, I had like 30 or 40 people reading that book. And of those people, the vast majority of them were crying at the end of that chapter. It was a very emotional chapter. And that's when I realized I had something. That it wasn't just, me writing a book. It was a book that could actually go somewhere. And my book is not very typical. The way it was written originally was crap. I mean, I was never that big into writing in high school. I didn't think I was going to be a writer. I thought I was going to be an artist at the time. It didn't sink in with me that what I really loved about my characters was not drawing them, but it was writing their background stories. I wanted to be a comic book artist back then. So I didn't have a big focus on grammar and punctuation. My writing wasn't horrible. It was pretty average for the average person. After I finished the first draft of that book and I started editing and I started paying attention to YouTube channels on editing and grammar and punctuation and reading books on the subject, I realized that those people were reading a very poorly written story originally. I mean, the story was good. It was entertaining, but the punctuation was horrible. The grammar was horrible. I did take 2 years writing the second and third drafts of that book and editing it and learning that by editing a chapter, you actually create more problems. Phrases that you used in a different spot, very near that spot that you edited. But I did eventually come up with something that I thought was worth publishing. And then I found out getting an agent was like the worst thing in the world. When you are hunting for an agent, every agent wants something special to them. They'll want a certain font, a certain format. Some of them will want just the first 10 pages. Some of them will want the first chapter. And then you got to write a query letter. A query letter is generally about 1 page long. A lot of times it will have a word count. So no more than like 300 words or whatever. And every agent wants something specific. So you got to write each query letter tailored to them for the most part. The worst part about getting an agent is that majority of them, it's like some sort of rule that if they say they want to read your manuscript, they're the only person that has your manuscript for 3 months. So you don't want to send out a bunch of query letters. You want to send out 5 or 10 at a time. Wait for a response. If one of them wants it, you give it to them. And then you tell every other agent that wants it, I'm sorry, somebody's now reading the manuscript. And then you hope that if that agent that was reading it then declines your book, then you go to those other agents who are interested, and you hope that they're still interested in reading your book. A lot of times they're not. It became much more clear to me just how hard it was to get an agent when I read a book by Stephen King, who said that when he was first getting his first book published, he had a board with a nail in it. And that's where he'd put all his rejection letters. And by the time he got his first acceptance letter, I think he said he had something like 3 nails worth of rejection letters. Stephen King was getting rejected that much for an agent. Back then that was like the only way to publish. Now, of course, you can get your book published on ebooks, and so that you can get on your Kindle and self-publish that way. But if you do it that way, your title is a needle in a haystack, and all of the advertising is on you to get your book to be known. So trying to publish that way is very hard to get it out there, to get it known. So I really wanted to have an agent. I did eventually get an agent who was interested in me. They wanted me to do some things with the book, and I was fine with that. I wasn't happy that they wanted me to change a few things. But then someone died who was very important to me, and my life fell apart. I had already gained most of my weight back, but I turned into a slob. I didn't have any goals in life. I was just surviving. I was doing what most people seem to be doing, which is just surviving. They make ends meet, but they don't try for anything. I didn't care about my fashion sense. I was still wearing graphic tees with Wolverine or X-Men or something on my shirt that suggested I was still a 20-year-old, and I was just surviving. I was in a mild depression. I didn't want to believe it, but I was. And my agent finally got rid of waiting for me to get motivated, and they dropped me. And was probably one of my biggest regrets. I finally got an agent after years of trying to get an agent, and let that agent go because of that. And now I've got to get a new agent, and I'm going to do all that process all over again. And to be honest, the edit that I have now, I still find, things that could be done to it. They say that editing is never done until it's published. I believe that. So this book, I want to get it published. I'm going to try to format it to an ebook for you guys to buy if you want to buy it at the end of the 11 chapters. And that will be how I earn the money on that book. But there's another wave to this whole concept. It's not just about sharing my book with you and getting published. That is a goal that I want to have done. But for those of you who want to write a book, what I want to do is I want to write a first draft with you. Write it off camera, but then find some way of sharing that with you. I don't think I'm going to read it to you like I am with this book. I think I'm going to find a way to share it with you where you can go and read the chapters yourself. So you can see, the point is I want you to be able to see the mistakes I'm making on my first drafts. So where there's not a comma or I misspell a word, and you guys can share in the comments or wherever I publish that chapter where you could think things can be fixed, where maybe I didn't describe something well enough or whatever the case may be. It's kind of a where you help me and I'm helping you. And I'm helping you, basically by the point where I'm helping you guys is I'm going through the whole process from first drafts through the edit process, the query letter, everything shared with you to show you how hard it is to go from first drafts to getting an agent to getting published. I don't know if that will even happen, if I'll even get published. I mean, I hope so, but that's kind of part of that's out of my control. I can only do so much, but at least you'll see the steps, right? That's the goals part of this channel, I think. At least one of the goals I want to set. I've told you before I want to go over fashion at some point, but I don't plan to go over fashion too much until I'm thin, because I don't want to buy a lot of shirts and pants that are just going to be baggy on me in a few months. Whereas when I'm 220 and I'm goal weight, yes, I will be bulking up a little bit with muscle, but I'll be closer to my size that I want to be. Makes sense? So that's all I really tell you about what I'm doing with this book, why I'm sharing the book with you. You're not going to get the whole book unless you buy the book, and you can't buy the book right now. I have to figure out how to do an ebook, but that's where I'm going with this. Also, to go over my weight loss, I did not weigh myself today, and to be honest, I probably maintained my weight this week. I don't expect to have lost weight this week, and that's because work kind of overloaded me with work this week. I'm working like 59 hours this week, and I wasn't expecting that going into this week. I was expecting 3 12-hour shifts. I went to the store, bought the kind of foods that I buy for work for 3 shifts, and then Monday I call him up and tell him, I want to use some of my vacation hours. I was wanting to get some of that cashed out, and he's like, I got work for you. And next thing I know, I'm working every day from Monday through Monday. So for 7 days I'm working. So I didn't even have time to go out and shop for more food, and so when I don't have that, if I don't have food planned, I go to like places like Subway, get Subway sandwiches, or I go to Safeway. I realize some states or countries may not have Safeway, but it's basically a grocery store, and I'll buy their sandwiches or their protein bars, and really those are kind of higher calorie overall. I mean, they're within my limits. It's not really a cheat meal, but if I have like Subway, I generally eat lighter for the other meals of the day because I'm still trying to stay within 1,200 calories. Whereas I'm probably hitting 1,400 calories, or maybe even a little more. I'm really not sure, every day this week. So I really don't expect that I lost weight. I'm probably the same weight I was last week. I wouldn't even be surprised if I gained a pound. I really don't know. But because I've been so busy, working 12-hour shifts or whatever, one of those days was a 14-hour shift. I just didn't have time to even look at the scale. Yeah. My clothes, I haven't loaded laundry this week. My face is all scruffy looking because I haven't had time to groom. I'm literally just living at the job site at the moment. So I apologize for not being able to give you a weight this week. But alright, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you enjoy the book. It's probably going to take like 3.5, almost 4 months because I plan on doing 1 chapter a week. But I'll give you something to look forward to every week. If you guys really push me, I might do more than 1 a week. But you guys gotta push me in the comments if you really want that. Also, I would appreciate it if you liked. Just hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, that you subscribe so that you get notified when a new chapter comes out. Because it would help me a lot if you guys help me grow this channel through reading those chapters with me. Alright guys, I will talk to you next week. Bye.